I understand that we have just dispensed with the formalities, but truly, let me acknowledge that wonderful introduction by the Vice President of the SADC Lawyers Association. But I would also like to thank the entire SADC Lawyers Association for inviting me to join you today as part of your annual conference. I would also like to acknowledge all of the other distinguished people in this room who are involved with their bar associations, and in particular the Bar Association of Mozambique that has done much to make tomorrow's events possible. I also understand that we have many other presidents of bar associations in the room. We may have some members of the diplomatic corps, and I want to welcome all of them. Hopefully they have not traveled quite so far to be with us today, but no matter how far you have traveled, this conference is an important one for all of us. And in particular, I would like to acknowledge the fact that as Illinois Attorney General, today I am speaking on behalf of the Conference of Western Attorneys General Africa Alliance Partnership. You may have seen that we are here very proud to be one of the sponsors of this conference today. And let me please recognize the people who are making this possible. And so we have been working over the past 2 years, I would say at this point, in developing relationships with lawyers, with public prosecutors, with members of the judiciary in SADC countries as well as other African countries, because we know that there is much that can be learned with and from all of you. But it is our commitment to ensuring that we are working together and providing advocacy, providing trainings, and providing resources so that all of us can do the important work that is necessary when it comes to improving not just the legal systems of our countries, but also recognizing that the reason that we are committed as lawyers to this work is because of our desire to ensure the strength of our democracies, ensure the rule of law, ensure the socio-economic development of all the people within our countries. And so this morning, I think we got wonderful words of introduction about the important mission that all of us have as lawyers to do exactly what your association is about, promoting the rule of law without fear and favor. And so let me acknowledge the fact that in a few moments, when I am done speaking, it will be our pleasure to be signing a memorandum of understanding between the SADC Lawyers Association and the Conference of Western Attorneys General Africa Alliance Partnership, because both of our organizations are committed to Africa, the rule of law, and a continent free of transnational crime. So the signing of this MOU will initiate our joint commitment to work together toward these ends. But before that, you get to listen to me speak for a little bit. So again, my name is Lssa Madigan, and I am the Attorney General of the state of Illinois, which is the state that the city of Chicago is located in. The population of Illinois is approximately 13 million people. I am currently in my 15th year as the elected state Attorney General. I am, again, very, very honored to be invited to speak with you this morning, and I am happy to be able to tell you that this is, in fact, not the first, not the second, but the third time that I have been to Maputo. So the first time I was here was 29 years ago, in 1989. Then my next trip here was in 1997, 20 years ago. And then I got in last night. And I can tell you that each time I have been to Maputo, I can see the change. When I start to see that some of these problems are not just individual problems that one person has, but are problems that 5 people, 25 people, 50 people have, as the Attorney General, I have authority to open an investigation, to use my legal powers to get information, subpoena power. So people then have to respond to us, or a business then has to respond to us and tell us what is really going on. Now sometimes they have not broken the law. Sometimes we can agree, short of a lawsuit, to fix the problem. This was done for a variety of reasons, but mainly so that all of those loans could be put together into investment vehicles. The critical reason that I'm telling you this is that as the Attorney General, I was able, when homeowners started coming to my office to complain that there was a problem with their loan, not just to try to sort that out for them individually, but I was able to investigate some of the largest banks in the United States and determine that they knowingly had put people into loans that were designed to fail. And that what we then did was to ensure that there was going to be compensation, there was going to be relief to these homeowners, so that people could change the terms of their loan to be able to continue to pay and stay in their home, or that people would be compensated if they had paid more than they should have because of the color of their skin or their gender, because we did see a lot of discriminatory lending taking place as well. After the worst of what we in the United States call the mortgage crisis was over, we started seeing very similar problems in student lending. So money given to students and their families to afford a college education. And we continue to struggle with that. Again, that came because we started hearing from students and from parents that they had problems with their loans. I use these 2 examples with you because I know that regardless of what country we are from, regardless of the people that we represent, we all share the same concerns and the same values. We want to be able to live in safe communities. We want to be able to educate our children. We want to have housing for our children, access to clean water, and we want to make sure that we have economic opportunity to achieve all of those things, not just for ourselves and our families, but hopefully for the greater community and our country. So, I want to say this. When it comes to human rights work, as an Attorney General, I have an enormous amount of authority to pick issues and to use the tools that the law gives me to effect change. As I've already mentioned, I have the authority and ability to investigate. I can bring lawsuits. We oftentimes settle these lawsuits, but there are other things that sometimes are overlooked. The ability to file friend of the court briefs in court cases where the Attorney General of the state of Illinois may not be a party, but to have our views heard by members of the court. Also, and I think this is very important for all of us, legislation, the actual ability to change the laws and to work on those policy changes. I can tell you that as the Attorney General, I passed more laws my first year than I did the entire 4 years that I was in the state Senate. in part because in the state Senate I was in the minority party. But nonetheless, you should use that authority wherever you have it. State attorneys general in the United States often also have opinion writing authority. And this is where we will be asked a question from a member of the government, and we have to give them the legal answer to the question. And so you can be strategic oftentimes in having somebody purposely ask you a question, hoping that the answer is going to be the right one that is needed to change policy and to help the people. In addition, as a state attorney general, we do have some financial resources. As you may have heard in the introduction, during the time that I've served as attorney general, we bring in approximately $1 billion a year to the state of Illinois. And so we provide that back out to help organizations that are helping people. We do trainings. We provide services, like I said, these hotlines. We do an enormous amount of advocacy, congressional testimony. We write editorials that run in the newspaper. But I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be a government lawyer to pursue human rights issues. I'm going to give you what I think are just a few ideas I have from my perspective on how all of us can effectively promote human rights issues. These are going to sound simple, but I can tell you from my 25 years as a lawyer and 20 years as an elected official, these actually work. Number one, it is all about relationships. It is all about relationships. So don't just take a picture with the person you are sitting next to. Shake their hand, learn their name, get their card. Because you never know when, you can do it right now, you never know not just where that person is going one day, but how they are going to be able to help you. And I promise you, you will all be helping each other throughout your careers. And I will share this with you. It is always better to develop those relationships before you need them than to have to cold call somebody when you have a crisis. And I say that not just about other lawyers, but I strongly encourage all of you, meet your elected officials. Go to their offices so they can know who you are and put a face with a name. Because again, if you want to increase your impact, the way you can do that is through the levers of power. I can tell you that as the Attorney General, as you may have heard, I learn about issues oftentimes from people directly in communities, but I also learn about issues from legal aid lawyers. I learn about issues from advocacy organizations and community groups. And the people that are most effective are the ones that I already know, because there's a relationship of trust there. So I recognize that some elected officials will embrace you and many others will not, but you should try to develop that relationship. Because partnerships are absolutely critical to you, and they are critical to improving government. And you are among the best and the brightest, the most highly educated. As lawyers, you are leaders. You have taken the responsibility to uphold the rule of law and pursue justice and protect democracy. You can be a voice for the voiceless. You can use your skills to pursue human rights issues. And as lawyers who are deeply concerned and committed to human rights, it is imperative that we use whatever power and means we have to fight for our democracies, to fight to uphold the rule of law. as you have already embraced without fear or favor. Most of us in this room have dedicated our lives to improving human and civil rights for people in our community, for people in our country, and for people around the world. We can never afford to stand by as human rights and civil rights are in jeopardy or not recognized. And I will say this again, fighting together, we are powerful and we can protect our progress and our people. So I thank you all very, very much for your commitment to promoting rule of law, and on behalf of the CWAG Africa Alliance Partnership, I pledge to cooperate, to stay engaged, and to learn from and with you to improve the socio-economic development of all of our people. So thank you all very much for having me. I look forward to meeting many more of you. Thank you.